Live on Instagram, Facebook, and all the platforms that is available to us. Streaming live,
Awesome.
Instagrammers. Let's do this.
Instagrammers, Facebookers,
Claimers.
YouTubers.
You got it. Claimers and gamers. Let's go. Let's
Alrighty.
work. Let's live. Let's rock. Let's give. Let's go.
So this is episode 2 in the, I guess, string of episodes about conquering some of life's greatest challenges and obstacles.
Yeah.
And let's get right into it. Start recording in 3, 2, 1.
Leaders and healers from around the universe, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, live to you direct from Burlington, Ontario. Thanking you for joining us. Thank you for wherever you are, whoever you are, whether you're doing it live, when you're on a recording, whatever it is. Thank you for joining us. This is a podcast where we help you claim your power, clarify your purpose, and cultivate your deepest, widest, and highest passions and desires. So ultimately, you can show up as a better version of yourself, as close to the best version of yourself, and then ultimately help others to be a better, bestest version of themselves. Again, I'm your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, author, life coach, trainer, love bug entrepreneur, just loving the world, giving to the world the best of me that I possibly can, of the wisdom I've learned through books, through seminars, through audios, through coaching, through my own struggles and experiences, here live on the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. Thank you for joining us. I know I'm crazy. I know my intro's are long. I know it's in depth. Cameron's here with me live from Chatham, from 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. And man, I am so excited about this episode because we're about to continue on this process of the 5 greatest challenges, usually for the most part, generally speaking, that humans endure and go through, whatever journey you're on, whether it be health related, business related, career related, relationship related, spiritual related. These are 5 components or 5 challenges that every human being will endure, that will go through, will experience at one time or another. As I heard once, if you have no problems in your life, trust me, you're either on your way to one or out of solving one. There's no such thing as living a problem-free life. So why don't we discover what those 5 challenges are, face them, conquer them, and then move up and make the upgrade. So thank you for joining us. Cameron, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really good. And I'm excited to cover these topics. Again, I appreciate you and everything you do here. And for those of you listening, if you enjoy this episode, go give it a rating on Apple Podcasts, the app, because that's huge for us. That's where we get most of our listens. And the more you rate the show and tell us what you think, the more likely we can get it out to more people and, eventually create as big a ripple as possible with this content. So I'm really looking forward to it. So this is one that, again, I said yesterday, I don't care who you are, you fear things. I don't care who you are, like, procrastination has been a part of your life at one point or another. Even if it's like you wake up and you don't want to get up, that's procrastination. You're putting off living. You're like, let's hit the alarm or whatever. But so what do you have to say about conquering procrastination?
Well, again, just to recap, the first episode was about fear. Everybody has experienced fear, or are you experiencing fear towards your journey or towards the deepest desires of your heart, whatever challenge you're going through? It usually falls back into fear. Really, at its base, there's only 2 emotions that the reason why I covered fear in the first place is because really there's only 2 emotions that we really fear. Everything else stems from that, and the positive emotion of that being love, and then the negative emotion of that being fear. But as we discussed yesterday, we can use fear as a stepping stone or as a springboard to higher states of awareness, higher states of courage. You cannot build your courage and character muscles if things were easy. The only way you can build your character and courage muscles, if you step into your fear, you push up against the resistance of fear, and you step into what's uncomfortable. And that's the only way. And as I say to people all the time, listen, there's 3 steps to doing this. Let me tell you, it's all about what? Shutting up, gutting up, and strutting up. Strutting up, the part is to take action part. The shutting up is just keep your mouth shut, move towards, gut up, get courageous, activate your physiology, activate your mind, activate your desires, fully engage every aspect of who you are, moving towards what it is you want. And here's the second challenge that most or all people at one time or another experience, when that is the challenge of procrastination. What is procrastination? Procrastination, to me, in its most simple definition, is delaying your desires. Delaying your desires, not moving towards what it is you want, and making excuses about why you don't why, you make an excuse as an example. Oh, it's too late, or I'm too busy. I could wait till tomorrow, or I got better things to do. And that's why fear and procrastination tie so well into each other, because at the end of the day, whatever a lot of times what happens, the reason why you procrastinate, because you fear something. You fear what you might become. You might fear success. You might fear failure. You might fear what people might think. You might fear rejection at some level. If you're a salesperson, or you're a musician, or you're an aspiring entrepreneur, an aspiring artist, or writer, or author. Listen, let me tell you something. When I first wrote my first book, this is coming from a person, me, Anthony Cheam, who failed English class, who barely passed any English class, who got 0 out of 50 on one English exam. And I told the teacher, I just didn't read the chapter. And why should I even attempt to write the test? I got 0 out of 50 on a test I had no clue, or I didn't even read the chapter that the test was on. And I didn't have a strong vocabulary. I had a stuttering and stammering problem. I used to stutter a lot. So when I wrote my first book, there was a great hesitation, because there was great fear that it would be rejected, number one. Number two, that it wouldn't be that good. And number three, that the person editing my book would be, ugh, what the hell is this guy writing about? Who the hell is this guy? Especially when I came from myself, who believed that I was a loser, who believed that I was not smart, who believed that I couldn't write a book or write anything of any value to any person in the world. So when I wrote that first book, there was deep fear. And there was deep procrastination. I mean, there was a couple moments where I took a couple months off of actually writing my book, because personal challenges showed up. I procrastinated. I got distracted, because we all have distractions. Because procrastination and distractions are also tied into each other. But what I decided to do to conquer my fear and procrastination, I just decided, okay, I thought small. I didn't think big. I envisioned my book being finished, and that's very important. I imagined myself with the book cover and the book finally published and edited and fully delivered and printed in my hand, and me giving it to someone. And that excited me. But thinking small, what do I mean by that? Everyone talks about thinking big. I thought small. I said, okay, today, all I'm going to do is write one paragraph. That's it. I'm not going to write the whole book today. Because I think people procrastinate because they think, oh my gosh, it's this, I got to write 500 pages today. And they go, oh, it's too overwhelming. And they go, oh, screw it. It's never going to work anyway. So one of the greatest tips I've ever learned was think small and do small. Great things don't happen by doing great things. As Mother Teresa says, you don't do great things. You do small things with great amounts of love and focus. So all I decided to do, I'm going to write one paragraph at a time. And that's all I'm going to commit to. And if I write one sentence, that's a victory. If I write one paragraph, that's a victory. If I write 2 paragraphs, it's a victory. And there were times I wrote 10 pages and I was like, wow, I'm on fire. And there were days I wouldn't write anything. And the whole idea is this. My first book, I believe, was actually 150,000 words. Think about that. It took me about 2 years to write 150,000 words. The average self-help book out there is about anywhere from 45 to 60 to 70,000 words. I had 2 books in this book. It took me 2 years to write it. Now, let's just, for a moment, break that down over 2 years. So 2 years being, let's say, 750 to 800 days, right? Let's just say 700 days, 700 to 750 days. Now, 150,000 word book is about roughly 750 pages, maybe 600 pages. Now, let me ask you a question. How many pages would I need to write over 2 years to write a 600 to 750 page book? How many? Maybe a page a day? Anybody can write a page a day. Anybody. It doesn't take a genius to do that. And here's my thinking about my book. I wasn't thinking in terms of it's going to be this million, I'm going to have New York Times bestseller. I didn't care about that. Because guess what? When I wrote the book and I had it fully finished, before it was edited, before it was published, I just was so happy that I completed it, that I finished it, that I followed through, didn't procrastinate. I had a commitment. I was going to finish this book, and I've been known to start fast and finish slow or not finish at all. And I finished this book, and the amount of confidence and steam I had for myself was just overwhelming. And I had this major victory that it literally cascaded and sort of built that momentum in other areas of my life that said, hey, I wrote a book, 150,000 word book, which, by the way, I had to cut down to about 70,000 words. I had to cut the book in half. But the point was I was happy. And how did I do it? I wrote 1 page a day, on average 1 page a day. Anybody can do it. If you look at people that want to lose weight over a year, so 52 weeks, let's say your goal is to lose 100 pounds in 1 year, which is a lot of weight, body fat. That's 2 pounds roughly a week for 52 weeks straight. Anybody can do that. Truthfully, if you just have the big vision, but then think small in the moment, stick to your small commitments and follow through with them. Don't overwhelm yourself with, oh my God, I lose 100 pounds in 30 days. Part of the reason also why people get distracted or procrastinate is because they have such a big goal, unrealistic goals. Have a goal and a vision that inspires you, but they say, all right, I'm gonna lose 100 pounds in 30 days. Well, geez, that's probably going to set you up for failures. I don't know many people have done it. I've known people have lost 30 pounds of body fat in 30 days and have kept it off, but very few people I know. So what I'm saying is this: to build a habit of following through and to conquer procrastination, have a big vision. Yes. A higher standard. Yes. Something that inspires you, but think in this moment. One of my original mentors used to always say to me, Anthony, what is the acronym for WIN? W-I-N. And I loved this. He said, what's important now? That I finish the book or I just get started? Just start. Just begin the process. I'm going to write, as Tony Robbins says, one of his clients says, I'm going to write for the wastebasket, and whether it sells 1 million copies or 1 copy, the fact that I finished my book, The ABCs of Life, Living a Life of Power, Purpose, and Passion, whether it sold 1 book or no books or 1,000 books or 1 million, it didn't matter. The fact that I was a published, fully edited, printed author, that alone gave me the strength and the purpose and the drive to go, if I can finish a book, I can climb Mount Everest. You don't climb Mount Everest by taking 1,000 steps. As Lao Tzu says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with that 1 step. So for people out there that suffer from procrastination, procrastination is a habit. In order to nip that in the bud or to conquer that, pick one thing that you know you need to do, one area in your life, whether it be health, and go, all right, what's one thing I can do today that I can commit to today? That if I follow through, I will reinforce myself positively. I'll feel good that I followed through. And guess what? That's how you start the process. That's how you start the process of being a faith-filled, fearless follow-througher towards what it is you want. And I use this on my every aspect of my life, whether it be running a marathon. I mean, I was never a runner, but I decided to run a marathon. And I'll tell you the story about me running a marathon. I can tell you right now, running a marathon, I'm not a runner. I'm not a long distance runner. Before I ran the marathon, I didn't run more than 5 kilometers before that. I'm a sprinter. I'm a not endurance athlete, a strong strength and sprinter athlete. I didn't like to run. But one year I decided back in 2014, I was bored and I was depressed. And I reached the pinnacle of my life, and I had a plateau, and I decided, hey, I'm not being challenged. I went on the computer and I signed up for a marathon. And I told my wife, and my wife said, what are you doing? Why can't you just sign up for a 10K one? You have to go full out. I said, yeah, this is going to inspire me. It's going to be dreadful. It's going to be painful, but it's going to raise my standard. It's both exciting and fearful. And you know what I did that day? Guess what? I ran 500 meters. Woo, 500 meters. You think 500 meters compared to 42.2 kilometers? Well, it starts me on the journey. And so what I decided to do was I'm going to run 500 meters today, 1,000 meters tomorrow, then go up to 1,500, then 2,000. And then the first month, I just started my process of practicing, following through, getting used to getting myself into a habit of running. And then about the 5 month before my marathon, I put together a 5-month plan. I started reading about it. I started studying it, asking other marathon runners and endurance athletes about, the nutrition, about all these things. And I started the plan, and then eventually got to the point where my one run, I remember running 32 kilometers in a row. I mean, like, that to me is a long distance. I remember how sore I was, how tired I was, but there was this sense of exhaustion and exhilaration at the same time. Now, exhaustion because I just ran 32 kilometers, and exhilaration because I was like, yeah, I did it. But I didn't run 32 kilometers the first day. It took months to actually get up to that level. The first day, 500 meters. Then I built on that. For people that have a tough time getting up in the morning, don't wake up 2 hours prior to you getting up. Let's say your normal time of getting up at 7 a.m. Get up at 6:45. And meditate for 5 minutes and exercise for another 5 minutes. Just do that. Start there. Start small. Have a big vision. Yes. High standard. Yes. Raise your standard. Yes. Something that inspires you. But then start small. Start the journey there. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with that 1 step. So I know I was crazy in this. And maybe I know Cam is going to get his insight and maybe ask me a question out there. But I highly recommend I will stop procrastinating on your video. Someone said, sorry, on Instagram. No, but the idea is, if you want to go towards what it is you want and build the momentum towards your objectives in life, whether it be building a better relationships, making more money, you've got to take those steps on a daily basis. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Consistency, persistency, okay? And it collapses any procrastination, because I don't procrastinate. If I decide to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it faithfully, fearlessly, and I developed this over time. So don't think that you're going to be like me, or you're going to be like Tony Robbins, or be like the greatest athlete. Start small, start the journey now.
So, I know, like, yeah, I've had a lot of experience with procrastination as well, and my biggest issue was something very small being so big in my mind, and it got to the point where it would sort of like compound to the point where brushing my teeth was like the hardest thing to do. Getting up and like drinking water was like the toughest thing to do. Like where you make things so big in your mind. It's almost like there's a bunch of quotes like coward dies 1,000 deaths, courageous man one. It's just a matter of like, and it's funny too, because some people are lucky in the sense that they just don't think as much as others. You know what I mean? In the sense that they just do, and they don't think about it. They just do it.
You got it.
And then you've got people who do the same amount of effort in life or whatever they're doing, but it's painful. And the only difference is the way you're thinking about it constantly. So,
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's a great challenge and a great insight that I got a long time ago. Don't confuse activity with results. Because people think people can remain active, right? But not get the results they're after. So as an example, would it be wise for you to, if you were delivering papers, would it be wise for you to deliver the papers geographically or alphabetically? Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Geographically or alphabetically? Geographically means going from house to house, left to right, and just going from house to house. Alphabetically is figuring out the last names of every person on your route and delivering them alphabetically from last name, from A to Z. Which one would be more probable for you to finish it quicker and be more effective? Geographically. It would be really stupid to do. Honestly, it would be unwise for you to deliver those papers alphabetically. Yet you are doing more activity doing the alphabetically. It took you 5 hours to do 5 hours to deliver those papers versus 1 hour. And you go, yeah, I've been delivering papers for 5 hours, but you're not getting the results you're after because you can get it done in less time. So don't think that activity is, oh, I'm just going to remain active and do all these things that really don't matter. It's really a difference between what's urgent and what's really, really important to you. So that's why even our last program the last course, the 9 steps to improving your relationships, was all about number one. Step one was know thyself. Know what it is you want. What is most important to you? Discover what it is you want, what drives you, what needs you have, what love languages you have, and what love languages you speak, your personality traits. It is so important to understand what it is you want, what drives you, your goals, objectives, what you want to get from life, and what you want to then give to life. That is so elemental. And it's a great component to living the everlasting happiness and fulfillment. That doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges, but the idea for you and the insight that I get from this is this. Discover, here's the tip. Number one, to conquer procrastination, start big vision, start small though. Start small. Big win, even a small win is a big win because it starts you on the journey. Small, okay? Step one. Step two, actually before that, know what it is you want. This goes in line with what we talked about yesterday. Let me ask you a question. If I was coaching you, friend, whoever's listening to this, what are 3 of the most important areas in your life? Now, for me, it's spirituality, it's health and well-being, and my family. And the reason why I put my spirituality and my health and well-being first is because the greater my spiritual connection with the divine, with God, the universe, and the healthier I am, the greater I can give to my relationships. That's why I put those two first ahead. Now, I dedicate a lot of time to my spirituality. I dedicate a lot of time and energy and effort in my health, and dedicate a lot of time in my relationships with my wife, my kids, my friends, my clients, my whomever that I'm in a relationship with. And I put a lot of energy into that. All the other stuff, the money, and of course is important, paying bills, that's great important. But I've established a long time ago, those three areas, those are must. Those are non-negotiables that I focus on. So it's good to know what it is, the three most important areas of your life. And then step two, take small steps to making it better, whatever those small steps are. And step three, do it consistently for 21 days. And even if you miss a day, it doesn't matter. Get back on the boat. Because the reality is, if you screw up, it's like the smoker who becomes a non-smoker for 30 days and goes, yeah, I haven't smoked for 30 days. And then the 31st day he smokes one, and then all of a sudden he smokes a pack a day, or she smokes a pack a day. You're not a failure. Don't confuse, disappointment with disaster. Just because you smoked one day out of 31 days and the other 30 previous days you didn't smoke, man, you're a success. It's okay. It's not good to have this mindset of all or nothing. Either I'm perfect or I'm completely useless. There is a gray area between yes and no, between black and white. It's good to live between them. It's good to give yourself room to make mistakes. Without mistakes, you cannot learn. So be gentle on yourself, be more compassionate, and I promise the journey will be that much more fulfilling and that much more effective and loving and overall exuberant. So hopefully this episode helped you guys. And again, if you like this episode, subscribe, like, comment, share to people, because the more people you share it with, you become a partner in power with us on this process of making the world better. So thank you for joining us to your continued upgrade and evolution. Live it up with power, purpose, and passion. Thank you, and God bless, guys.